Welcome to week 9. We will be covering chapter 9 this week, and this chapter deals with motivation, stress, and emotion. So the closest chapter, or I should say the closest area of psychology that this maps onto would pretty much be health psychology, although motivation and emotion can be a course in and of itself. A lot of the elements that are found in this chapter are what you would find if you were to take a health psychology class. We typically look at all the factors involved in stress and how it evokes emotion and how does our body handle that, what's the physiological response, as well as more of the motivational responses that are kind of intertwined in that. So here are your to-do list items for this week. Please take note that there's an extra credit opportunity right here, which involves watching an extra video on stress. And this is actually one that I show when I teach health psychology. The video is an awesome depiction of what happens in the body when we're under stress and what is bad stress. So for example, today, what kinds of stress are we facing and how is it really honestly killing us? What elements are not good for the body? So it takes a look physiologically at the various systems of the body and how they're affected by stress, such as the cardiovascular system, the immune system, the endocrine system. So it really gets detailed and gives you a nice overview that's very applicable to our lives today and the effects of stress. So I've put that in as an extra credit opportunity. So let me just scroll down here really quick to go over that with you guys. So the video is attached up here. It says extra video, stress portrait of a killer. It's a documentary video. And then if you click here, this is the worksheet that goes with it. So you're going to go ahead and watch the video along with the worksheet so that you can answer the questions that I've put on the worksheet while you're watching the video. And what you can do is you can take a picture of your worksheet once you've filled it out. You can retype that worksheet into a Word document, whatever you choose to do. You just want to click on the assignment here and upload it. Okay, so attach the document or whatever you decide to do that has all your answers in it. And that's going to be due by Sunday, November 4th. So that's a good extra credit opportunity, help get some extra points that might help make up for, missed points here and there. If you miss some on a discussion board or a quiz or a test or something like that. For the chapter, the objectives, you're going to be looking at some different theories as to how we are motivated. So the classic instinct and drive theories and approaches to motivation. We'll go ahead and discuss the different types of needs. So this gets into kind of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We'll touch on this again actually too when we cover personality. But that plays into one's motivation and basically looking at what incentives do we have to be internally or externally motivated, what level of arousal do we need for that motivation to occur. So we get into a lot of that. Then, so it covers kind of motivation first, and then it gets into stress, looking at what is stress, what are the stressors in our lives, as well as some coping strategies. We'll take a look at a couple elements involved in key areas that can be linked to stress, can be linked to motivation, such as hunger, obesity, sexual drives, sexual orientation. All of these things are kind of plugged in here because they're sort of intertwined with motivation and emotion, namely. Then the latter part of the chapter is going to go ahead and take a look at theories of emotion. How do we experience emotion? How do we express emotion? What are the various theories as to how that happens, and looking at kind of the big name theories with that: arousal theory, facial feedback hypothesis, and the cognitive mediational theory of emotion. So that's kind of how it's broken up: motivation, stress, emotion. Go ahead and please, a couple students have emailed me about this, like how should we be using the PowerPoint slides. And again, I just want to reiterate, the best way to do that is to have them with you. If you can print them out, that would be great. Mostly because then you have them next to you as you're going through and you're reading the chapter. You can kind of compare the lecture slides to what you're reading in the chapter. Again, a lot of what is entailed in an online class is synthesizing the material on your own. This is why online classes are unique to certain kinds of learners. However, I think with the book, in being that you can read it, visually see it, you can auditorily read it, have it read to you, that is very helpful to many types of learners. But definitely having the lecture note slides with you while you're reading helps, and you can take notes in the margins and kind of see where there's overlap or differences and note those, and that's a good way you can use that for studying. The videos for the week are actually in 2 different episodes in my psych lab. So you'll be watching those in episode 12, Motivation and Emotion, and then skip on over to episode 15, which involves psychology and health. Okay, and then of course the extra video that I've posted on stress. Now, again, word to the wise: before you start your discussion for the week, you should have already read the material, previewed, and watched the videos. Okay, so for those of you who I've noticed have been posting your responses to the discussion questions on Mondays, I hope that you guys are just getting a jump start, and you're spending the good portion of your Monday doing all that before you're going ahead and responding to the discussion board. I hate to see, actually, when I read people's discussions, very incomplete answers, and sometimes it's clear to me that you have not gone ahead and done that. This week's discussion revolves around Hawk reading number 22. I can see it all over your face, and it involves nonverbal communication. Involves reading facial expressions. This is the work of Ekman and Friesman. And a little bit of talk about deception. How do we detect deception? Like, can we be actual human lie detectors? And if anyone's ever watched the show Lie to Me, you know that this is a huge area right now, that law enforcement officials and investigators are using people, basically, who are trained experts at reading other people to help them in crime investigations. And so this is a really hot area of research in social psych, especially. So I thought it would be fun to kind of integrate that. Remember that as after you read the Hawk reading, you want to approach these questions not only with the Hawk reading in mind, but also with the chapter in mind. How can you be integrating in what you're reading in both those sources, as well as the videos? Those are up for fair game. If you see something in one of the videos, because oftentimes there's segments that talk about the research, please feel free to go ahead and add it into your answers in the posts. And remember that you should be doing that too as you're responding to other people's posts. You should be going above and beyond, not just responding to what they said with a few sentences, but really adding to it and extending the dialogue. And that's going to be kind of what I'm looking for. So that's your discussion. And then this week you have the quiz as usual, and you also have your exam. And that would pretty much wrap up the week, aside from the extra credit. And exam 4, again, is covering chapters 8 and 9, so the developmental chapter, and then this chapter on stress, motivation, and emotion. That's pretty much it. Please let me know if you have any questions as you're going through your week. Otherwise, have a great week. Happy Halloween this week. Stay safe, and hope to hear from you guys if you have any questions. Thanks.